She has been isolated in this enclosure for over 5 years. No male has ever been allowed anywhere near her territory. Yet, she is fiercely guarding a nest of 22 eggs. This is not a phantom pregnancy or an unfertilized clutch. Deep beneath the sand, every single egg is alive and growing. How does a female create complex life entirely on her own? The answer involves a biological failsafe that completely defies common sense. And it reveals why this species has survived for millions of years. She meticulously buries the eggs, hiding them from non-existent predators. Her instincts tell her that these fragile shells are her legacy. But without a father, these embryos should not exist at all. In most complex animals, reproduction requires two distinct sets of genetics. One from the mother, and one from the father, combining together. This creates the necessary blueprint for a new, healthy living organism. She is breaking the most fundamental rule of vertebrate biology. She did not clone herself to achieve this impossible biological feat. Cloning would create exact genetic copies, which these embryos are not. Instead, her body performed an incredible internal trick of cellular division. Her eggs acted as both the mother and the father simultaneously. They copied their own chromosomes to create a complete genetic blueprint. This process is called parthenogenesis, or virgin birth. It is an extreme survival strategy triggered by absolute isolation. When no males are present, her body simply bypasses the requirement. She becomes a self-sustaining population capable of restarting her entire species. But this remarkable biological workaround comes with a very strange consequence. Every single hatchling that emerges from this nest will be male. Not a single female will be born from this solitary clutch. Why would a solitary mother only produce sons? The secret lies hidden within her very specific genetic code. In humans, males carry two different sex chromosomes, X and Y. But in dragons, it is the females who carry different chromosomes. They possess both a Z and AW chromosome for reproduction. When she duplicates her own genes, she creates either ZZ or WW. The WW embryos simply cannot survive the earliest stages of development. Only the ZZ combinations live, and those are always male dragons. She has successfully created half of a new breeding population. But a population of only males cannot sustain itself forever. Without females, the genetic line will eventually reach a dead end. This brings us to the most unsettling part of her strategy. In a few years, these tiny hatchlings will reach sexual maturity. They will grow into massive predators capable of defending their territory. And when they do, she will no longer view them as her offspring. She will recognize them only as potential mates for future breeding. By mating with her own sons, she regains the missing chromosomes. This shocking behavior allows her to produce both male and female hatchlings. She has effectively reset the entire evolutionary clock for her lineage. One single female drifting onto a deserted island can colonize it entirely. She does not need a mate. She carries the entire future of her species within her own body. But this extreme survival tactic carries a heavy biological cost. Inbreeding drastically reduces the genetic diversity of the new population. The resulting offspring may be vulnerable to diseases and environmental changes. This is why parthenogenesis is always a last resort, never the primary strategy. It is an emergency protocol. Right now, the immediate danger for these eggs is not genetic diversity. The danger lies in the very mother who is guarding them today. For months, she has protected this nest from scavenging birds and monitor lizards. She has fasted patiently, waiting for the embryos to fully develop. But the moment these eggs crack open, her maternal instincts vanish completely. The tiny dragons emerging from the sand are entirely on their own. They must immediately run for the nearest trees to escape certain death. Because if she catches them, she will not hesitate to eat them. To an adult Komodo dragon, a hatchling is simply another source of protein. She only recognizes hunger. Only the fastest and most agile newborns will survive their first day. Their lives begin with a desperate sprint away from their own creator. For the next few years, they will live exclusively in the canopy. The trees offer the only safe refuge from the heavy, ground-dwelling adults. They will hunt insects and small birds, growing stronger with every meal. But they cannot stay hidden in the high branches forever. Eventually, they will grow too heavy for the delicate branches to support. They must descend to the dangerous forest floor to hunt larger prey. This descent marks the beginning of their final test of survival. They are entering the hunting grounds of the very dragon that created them. She will not recognize them when they finally cross her path again. To her, they are simply smaller competitors trespassing in her established territory. But they have inherited her exact genetic blueprint for violence and stealth. They possess the same venomous bite and the same armored, impenetrable scales. The island is no longer ruled by a single, isolated female. It is now populated by an entire army of perfect, lethal predators. And their population will only continue to expand with each passing year. When the older males finally mate with her, the cycle will complete itself. The next generation will include females, balancing the entire ecosystem once more. She arrived on this desolate beach with absolutely nothing. Now, she has engineered an entire, self-sustaining society from her own body. This is not just a mechanism for reproducing in times of isolation. It is the ultimate strategy for conquering new landmasses across the ocean. A single dragon is never lost. It is a colonizing force waiting to be unleashed upon a new island. This explains how they spread across the vast Indonesian archipelago so successfully. While other species require a mated pair to survive, she requires nothing. She is an entire biological ecosystem wrapped in a single, armored body. But this incredible independence comes at the cost of recognizing her own blood. The babies she meticulously incubated are now just another target to hunt. The nest she fiercely guarded is now just an empty hole in the sand. She does not care about what happens to her offspring today. She only cared that they survived long enough to reach the canopy. From there, the harsh rules of the island will decide their ultimate fate. That nest of 22 eggs was never about raising a traditional family. It was a biological reset button pressed in the face of total isolation. Waiting for the perfect conditions often means waiting until it is too late. The most resilient survivors do not wait for the missing pieces to arrive. They use exactly what they have, even if it breaks the fundamental rules. The enclosure was completely empty 5 years ago. Now, it is a kingdom.